Hello. Welcome to another Destroyer Inspection in the world of Warships. We're finally doing it, buddy. We're looking at the laughable Laffey. Oh my goodness. A ship of all time. The Laffey, truly. Honestly, a ship of all time in real life. A great museum ship. 100% worth touring that thing. Worth virtually touring Vera uh, worth virtually touring in the game via spending some doubloons on it? Absolutely fucking not. Oh my goodness. Get me out of this boat, bro. Too long didn't watch. Is Laffy good or bad? Eh, eh, eh. I mean, it's shit. I hate it. Now is it like actually shit or is it just like shit? Yeah, it's shit. But it's okay. But it's shit. Um, what I would say is the Laffy has. So, see, here's the problem, guys. I'm struggling to collect my thoughts more than in a normal review, because the ship is basically dog shit. But if you play it with a certain hyper passive, squirrely playstyle, it can perform like extremely well. Um, like I would say that the Laffy has above average game impact. Now, really strongly depending on matchmaker, depending on the map, depending on a lot of things outside of your control. But the ship absolutely like can perform. Unfortunately, it's kind of one of those ships that only truly excels against turbo trash players. Um, it's it's very easy in the Laffy to find yourself in a situation where you have virtually no game impact. Now, we're going to talk about it in isolation, right? Just as a boat, right? As a destroyer. So, uh, you have okay DPM, about 200,000 DPM, a bit over 200k HE DPM. Obviously, gearing shell arcs, viewing shell arcs, aka the worst in all of tier 10. The worst shell arcs in all of tier 10. Now, I actually don't think that that's that big of a problem on Laffy. Now, obviously, yes, that massively lowers its effective DPM. When it comes to farming, like BBs, for example, I don't think, like these shell arcs, right, we're shooting a Bismarck at 9, 10. It's, like, not that hard. The problem with the shell arcs really comes into play on destroyer engagements. Now, that's not unique, right? Gearing and Yu Yang have this technical problem. And we're going to be in a situation here where we would like to burst. And the problem with Laffy Burst is it kind of sucks dick. It's basically pure cope. It is not like an Alvaro Burst or a Castilla Burst. Those are offensive force multiplier tools, the bursts on Alvaro and Castilla. Um, those ships are basically no-brainer if you're in a situation where um, like the very next salvo is going to be an above average salvo, so something went flat to you, something put out a fire, you just always burst in those ships. Like, there is no debate, there is no deliberation. The burst on Castilla is like barely even a DPM loss. The burst on Alvaro is a small DPM loss, but because of the built-in Deadeye, you actually have like legitimately borderline more effective DPM burst only Alvaro. It depends on the situation, but in a lot of situations, you're literally better off perma bursting in Alvaro, right? You never do that in Laffy. Laffy basically has the OG Alvaro de Bazan burst parameters where we're actually running reload mod, and we have a little bit of adrenaline rush kicking in, not much, but we're on a well over 20-second reload, right? As opposed to Alvaro's like 18-second reload. And of course, the problem is the burst is very unreliable due to the shell arcs, due to the alpha strike, right? Do not be thinking, if you've played Alvaro de Bazan, do not be thinking that this is Alvaro de Bazan at all, in any way, shape, or form. Well, number one, the boat is just pure dog shit compared to a boat like Alvaro de Bazan. But, so the guns, the shell arcs aren't necessarily that bad, but when you fight a DD, it's pretty bad. And one of the biggest problems that Laffy has, though, is, of course, the torpedoes. The torpedoes on the Laffy honestly just confuse the fuck out of me. I can't lie. It doesn't really make any sense from a design perspective why Laffy has, like, probably objectively the worst torpedoes on a gunboat. Maybe I guess you could make a case that Sherman and Hull have worse torpedoes. Maybe Khabarovsk, right? You could like make an argument those ships probably have overall worse torps. But the problem with Laffey torps is they have no range, they have no great speed, and they have a dogshit reload. Typically, gunboats often have a much faster reload or significantly more useful torps, right? I mean, you look at a ship like Grozovoy, it has a faster torpedo reload. The torps go 12 km instead of 8. They hit for barely less, 2,000 less damage a hit only. So better reload, better range, right? Alvaro, Regolo torps, they reload almost a full minute faster. They have double the range, nearly, right? 50% more range. They're way stealthier. So the Laffey torps are like an exclusive idiot tool. Like you're going to monkey push people when you're on full HP or you're getting run at. But the overall problem with the Laffey is it kind of just doesn't have any way of impacting the game beyond about 8 kilometers. And that's kind of full stop. Like it's a major issue. Now, obviously there's going to be plenty of games where bad players let you impact the game. I mean, you see here, like the Bismarck and the enemy CV just walk in and we farm 50k in the first 5 minutes of the game. We're going over to sea and we're going to dog on like one of the greatest destroyer players of all time, Trust, right? So, I mean, the boat has like really outsized game impact, I would say particularly against bad players. And, you might ask the question like, well, if a boat has great impact against bad players, why can't you play other boats? And I do think Laffey actually has an edge against bad players over even boats that are better overall. And that's really just down to the heal. Like, the heal is never going to save you against a good player in a real gunboat, but the real value of the heal is like, let's say the enemy destroyers are pretty bad, and you're like, in this situation, right? We're taking out a Holland, a full HP Holland, and we've only lost 7k in return. And so we get to heal up a lot of that, right? Now, the issue is, like, against a good destroyer player, we would basically lose our entire HP pool, and then we would cope into healing, right? But against bad destroyer players, it allows you to disrespect people a little bit more than the average gunboat, right? Like, against a good destroyer player, you're 100 times better off to be in a Marceau, a Vamp 2, a Z40. Like, hey, pick any gunboat, right? Like, literally pick any gunboat in the game. You're going to be better off in that than Laffey against competent players. But you are unironically going to be better off in Laffey against bad players because of that heal. So we've kind of discussed, the guns are fine. I don't really have an issue with the guns. Now, the guns themselves aren't the problem. Just to address the guns real quick. It's not that you have bad shell arcs, right? Because a ship like Marceau has pretty bad shell arcs. Now, better than Laffey. Noticeably better than Laffey. But the shell arcs on their own aren't the problem. But there's a few concepts, right, when we talk about DPM. You have your raw HE DPM. With our build, with Fearless Brawler kicking in, we're probably pushing like 250k HE DPM, which is nothing to scoff at, right? Now, the fire starting is abysmal, right? Even with the build, we're at like 7 fires a minute, probably. Horrific. But not the end of the world. Solid raw HE DPM. Now, there's your raw HE DPM. On Laffey, that's about 250k. There's then your effective HE DPM, which is going to, factor in like your shell arcs mostly. So, on paper, a ship like Laffey has a bit more HE DPM than a ship like Alvaro de Bazan, a ship like Grozovoy, right? In reality, those ships effectively have significantly more HE DPM than Laffey does, right? Not double, but on paper, Laffey's got maybe 20% better DPM than those ships. In reality, they probably have 30-40% better effective DPM than Laffey. But a super important thing to consider when you think about destroyers fighting other destroyers, right? You've got your DPM, and you've got your effective DPM, which is kind of more just like a thought of how easily you can land your shells. But you've got to think about something that, we could call like effective DPM in trading. So you've got a ship like a Marceau, right? We're going to use Marceau as an example. Marceau has very high HE DPM, raw DPM. Pretty mediocre effective DPM due to the shell arcs. Okay? So if Marceau runs into a Grozavoy, Grozavoy arguably has more effective DPM than Marceau because Grozavoy has like 75% the DPM of Marceau, but it has railgun shell ballistics, so you are going to hit way more shells. However, the Marceau is cooking up 55 knots in the fucking lab, and the Grozavoy is like maybe pushing low 40s, right? So in the trade, right, Grozavoy has a big, Marceau's got more DPM, Groz has more effective DPM, but Marceau is way, 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 way harder to hit than Grozavoy. So it kind of cancels out, and you end up back in the realm of, yeah, even though Marceau's shells are harder to land on the, on a normal target, when you factor in a 55 knot Marceau and a 43 knot Grozavoy, the shell ballistics aren't really going to decide that fight, right? If the players have equal skill, it'll probably be a wash because the Grozavoy's ballistics advantage will be somewhat nullified by Marceau's speed advantage, right? I mean, basic concepts, essentially, right? And so probably the biggest issue with Laffey is when you fight. Now, we're going to stress you fight gunboats, right? We're going to say real gunboats, right? You're fighting a Marceau, a Kleber, a Humphreys, these kind of boats, Sherman, these kind of boats, right? Even limiting our shells to the shitty shell arcs boats like Vamp 2, Daring, and things like that, they're always harder to hit. Pretty much no matter what ship Laffey is fighting, Laffey will be the easier ship to hit. Because the only destroyers that even approach Laffey's ease of being shot, right, which I would say like Sherman and Tromp are probably the two like easiest tier 10 gunboats to hit, right? Because they're not very fast. Although Tromp with speed boost is faster than Laffey. Let's say Tromp speed boost down, right? And Sherman. Those ships are very, very easy to hit. They're about as easy to hit as Laffey. But they also have railgun ballistics, right? So the sad reality is there isn't even one destroyer in the game in tier 10 that is losing the difficulty to hit trade against Laffey because they're either as easy to hit or they're way harder to hit, right? So ships that Laffey does very well against will never, ever, ever, ever miss it, right? If that kind of makes some sense to you. And losing out on the speed boost, I think, is like the most brutal aspect of trying to play Laffey into gunboats. You're open water farming, you're just sailing around the map. It's not like the end of the world to be 3.5 knots slower than, say, a Yu-Yang. But the ultimate problem is that when you turn, especially when you're at a stop and you want to accelerate or reverse to dodge torpedoes, to dodge shells, you just have no get up and go in this ship. You have absolutely no get up and go, and this kind of leads to a situation where the super heal is almost like a copium asset, as opposed to what I would say is like, I don't know, a strong, a powerful asset, right? Think of a ship like Hull, for example, if we can briefly. If you took the speed boost off of Hull, right? It's got 28,000 health. It's got basically the same heals as Laffey. It can even get one extra heal, right, over Laffey. I think, I can't remember for sure. But anyway, let's say it's got the exact same healing as Laffey, right? It's got 28,000 HP, and it goes like, 37 knots with speed flag. If we took the speed boost off of Hull, would the ship be bad? No. Right? It would still be an incredibly good open water farmer. The speed boost just makes it, brain damagely obnoxious to deal with. Hull realistically shouldn't even get a speed boost, right? The ship would be moderately more balanced if you took one of its pieces of utility away from it, right? The problem is Laffey is, not even good with the assets added. And it's a really odd bit of game design. For example, we're just going to kind of run through the consumables, right? You have the best DFAA in the game. This is the best defensive fire in the game. 200% continuous, way, normal is 50. Some of the USNDDs, I think, get 100. Shell explosion 300, which is normal. But the 200% continuous, like, this is the best DFAA in the game. But your base anti-air is so dog shit. Like, for example, Laffey with defensive fire active is basically Holland without defensive fire active. And if you guys are Holland enjoyers, you know that even Holland doesn't really shoot down a fucking plane without def AA up. Like, Holland with def AA up can squadron wipe, can shred planes. Holland with def AA down is food for CVs. Like, the CVs can easily drop it over and over again. It only can defend itself with def AA. So when you pop your def AA on Laffey, you have basically gained Holland's base level of anti-air. Now, you've got, in theory, the greatest type of smoke you could have in the game, right? Burrows gets this smoke. Burrows gets over 3 minutes of this smoke. And this is, in theory, like, the strong argument can be made that this style of smoke is potentially the best smoke in the game. Because you only have to use it for 10 seconds. Now, obviously, you're never going to perfect overlap. So you can pop the smoke, in theory, about 7 times a game. Now, on Burrows, because you get over 3 minutes of smoke, every time you pop it, you can use it. You could use Burrow smoke, for example, 7 times a game for an average of like 30 seconds each time. So nearly daring smoke, right? Burrows essentially has the equivalent of like 6 daring smokes with a bit more flexibility in extending them. Laffey gets the equivalent of 2 daring smokes in total time. It gets the equivalent of 2 daring smokes in total time. And we've got this Yugen was spotted for like a quarter of a second, right? And we shoot him. Now, why didn't I burst him? Well, the reason why I didn't burst him, because I'm not in Alvaro de Bazan. If I was in Alvaro de Bazan, I would have hit F. I would have bursted him. He would have been dev struck, right? I mean, this is not a cope. This is not a theory. Yugumo on that HP pool is literally a one-shot dev strike from Alvaro de Bazan burst. Now, the problem is, because the burst on Laffey is so bad, particularly compared to a burst like Alvaro de Bazan's, you just don't ever use it unless it's the last shot you're going to have. It doesn't matter how little HP the enemy DD is on. You know, maybe if they're on 3,000 at 5 kilometers, maybe you'll shoot the burst. But generally speaking, you can never afford to use the burst unless you know you're not shooting your guns for 20 seconds plus, right? Like, you're going to go around an island, you'll burst, or they're definitely going to go around an island, you'll burst, right? Basically, imagine the way, like, the community contributor Hivemind talked about Alvaro burst back in the day, even though they were wrong on release. But it's particularly wrong now, right? In Alvaro, you just burst all the time. Like, probably half of your damage per game in Alvaro is achieved through the burst, whereas in Laffey, probably something like 20%, 10% maybe of your damage is achieved for the burst. Now, we sent Torps into that Yugumo smoke, right? We got a hit. So he's 1 HP. So we're going to push in pretty aggressively. But look at how long I still have to wait for the Torps, right? Like, having the Torps right now, which I want to stress, basically every gunboat in the game. Like, Grozavoy has Torps back by now. Delny has Torps back by now. The Z's have Torps back by now. Rigolo and Alvaro have already launched Torps to hit this guy, right? Like, this 2-minute 20 reload on these Torps is diabolical, dude. I mean, you know, I would understand, right? I would totally understand this Torpedo reload if these were, like, Gearing or even Fletcher Torps, right? If these Torps went 10.5 kilometers, I think that the super crazy long reload would be... See, like, right here, we're going to burst, right? Why are we going to burst? Because we're going to lose, right? We're going to lose vision on him. Unfortunately, I forgot about his bullshit armor scheme, and I aimed a little too low. But I would totally understand if these Torps went even 10.5, that, like, yeah, those are probably too good for a gunboat. We got to make them have a dog shit reload. But, like, they're kind of some of the very worst Torps to be found on a gunboat. I mean, like I said, you know, really... I mean, I'm trying to even think. It's probably, like, the single launch Torp, the USN DDs, like, Burrows is better Torps. I want to stress this, right? Like, Burrows Torpedoes have, like, half the reload time. Now, you only get 1 rack, right? Burrows gets 1 launcher of Fletcher Torps, but they're Fletcher Torps, right? They go 10.5 kilometers. Yeah, you get only 1 rack, but they reload in half the time. So, like, you compare this ship to Burrows, and, like, Burrows has better Torps. Inarguably more useful Torps for a gunboat. It's got 3 times, almost, the smoke action time. So the smoke is 3 times as good. It's got railgun shell velocity with higher DPM. So the effective DPM on burrows is like literally double of Laffey. And it has the same amount of HP as Laffey plus a heal. And it goes like what? With speed boost, it goes 5, 6 knots faster. So like the ship is way faster, has way better guns, has way better smoke, has way better torps overall. Laffey gets the heal and 0.4 detect. It's just confused. I'm just confused by it, and I've started to feel like I'm losing my mind. We're looking at 2 back-to-back replays as always, and I'm actually cherry picking the replays, which I don't typically do. I played 5 games in Laffey the day of recording these replays. I won 3 games in a row, and then I lost 2 games in a row. And I'm literally looking at games 2 and 3, which are both wins, just to try to show the boat in the most possible favorable light. Because I understand that there's bias in this review, right? I despise the ship because of how it feels to play, and because I'm comparing it to ships like Vamp 2, Z42, Alvaro de Bazan particularly, right? I mean, most of you guys that watch the channel know that's basically one of my favorite ships total in the game, right? Definitely favorite DD in the game. And it's like, I have to disengage in Laffey when I would push in any of the normal gunboats. I have to run away when I could stand my ground in any normal gunboats. I have to stay dark and not even launch torps when I would torp and smoke up and farm in any other gunboat, or open water farm in any other gunboat. And there's just so many situations in this fucking clown car where it's like, boy, it'd be nice to be in. And then you start listing the ships like, I'm on a flank, and there's only one DD. It'd be nice to be in any open water gunboat. I'm on a flank, and they're pushing me. Would be nice to be in any other gunboat because they all have better torps, effectively speaking, right? So here we go. We've got the torps. We saved the torps, and we're going to end up with a pretty good Laffey game. Why? Well, because the fucking retard squad is coming, right? And we're going to send out 1 rack of torps. And that's something that you like almost have to do, I think, in Laffey. I'm constantly sending out exactly 1 rack of torps. And that's just because the reload is so abominably bad. You just have to. You just have to send out 1 rack of torps at a time, basically. You don't really have a choice. But, so bot 1 is down, right? Bot 2 is now down. And then we're going to slow down here. And this is an example of when the heal is actually, pretty useful, right? Because we're taking a hit. And so we're going to take more hits. So, okay, woo, yay, we got the heal going, I guess. Well, in any other gunboat, I'd just run away trailing the smoke. Unfortunately, I can't do that because the smoke is only going to last for 10 more seconds, right? So we're going to start to bail, right? We're going to go ahead, try to use the smoke to shield us just a little bit, just so I can get dark enough to turn the torps around. Try to get the torps out right before we die, right? I mean, we've already won the game, so at this point, we're just going for the full greed. Try to get the torp hits on that guy. Try to burst the Laffey, right? So we get like a real nice burst of game impact, base XP at the very end. Damage on Laffey. We get a couple more torps on the repub. So we ended up with a solid score in both games, right? But these are typically how good Laffey games go, is you brutalize idiots or you don't have a good game. And there's almost never a situation I've never experienced it. I've never seen anybody stream or record a YouTube replay of someone having a good game, like a truly good game in this boat, without brutalizing just retards. And I feel like I'm being gaslit. I literally feel like I'm being gaslit. I don't typically watch a lot of World of Warships content, mainly because, to me, part of the point of this channel is to not be in the hive mind, right? To get the rage comments when we have an opinion that's different from the 20 other people who upload videos to YouTube. But with this one, I was just like, okay, I'm playing the boat. I am performing very well in it, right? So I'm not gonna like pretend that the boat can't perform, right? But the testament to my performance in Laffey is, my first probably 10 games in the boat, I was stuck in this mentality of playing aggressive, right? Because you know me, right? I an aggressive bot. That's how I like to play the game. Full retard, full aggression, right? Full idiocy, full aggression, just running at people. And that's why I typically play boats that can somewhat succeed in that, right? That's why, I love Alvaro Bazan. It basically doesn't have to respect a single destroyer in the game. It just gets to completely run at them for free, right? So, first 10 games in Laffey went pretty bad. I'm trying to play aggressive. I'm trying to get in a situation, pop the smoke, do a little farming, and then what you realize in Laffey is, oh, I pushed in aggressively. I traded a DD, but I lost my HP plus 2 heals, so I'm down to 15,000 health and 1 heal remaining. And I'm down to 25 seconds of smoke remaining, and now I'm getting pushed, and I don't have my torpedoes available, and now I die, right? So congratulations on your amazing, push in your Laffey, but you killed one idiot DD. You took more HP in return than any gunboat literally in the entire game would because of how big and slow you are, and or not how big you are, right? The ship is not big or immaneuverable. It's just that it's a low speed and it makes speed juking difficult because you don't have the speed boost, right? So then I was like, okay, so clearly you have to play like a complete bitch in this boat, right? Which if you watch anybody play Laffey, typically when they have good games, they're playing like a passive cuck. And then so we played a bunch of games as a passive cuck, and now we're on something like a 70-80 win, 75-80 win rate or something like that. And the boat is like performing pretty well. I mean, not abnormally high for other, boats that I play solo. But definitely higher than most. Kind of a small sample size so far, right? But I mean, it's performing up there with like my Utrecht and boats that I do really enjoy and I'm good at, right? So the boat can absolutely perform. It's kind of a testament to what I say all the time when I stream, which is if you're a perma AFK farm player, it's like Unicum win rate guaranteed, right? And Laffey is kind of like the AFK bot version of like a lot of cruisers. Um, you let people push into you, and when they push into you, it's very, very good at punishing mistakes. Laffey is extremely, extremely good at punishing bad destroyer players. Full stop, it's excellent at it. Now, unlike a ship like Alvaro de Bazan that massacres even excellent destroyer players, you have really no ability to hurt meaningfully good destroyer players. They're pretty much always going to outtrade you. Now, the theory in Laffey would then be that you can retreat, heal, and you can go back for another engagement. The problem is, if they have any allied support, again, you're kind of like the easiest tier 10 gunboat to hit. It's like between you, Tromp, and Sherman, probably, as ships that eat the most shit, and then you don't have the HP pool. So, the heal is big time cope. The heal is big time copium. The burst is big time copium. The excellent, in theory, toggleable smokescreen is big time copium. In reality, you'd just be better off with like a normal speed boost like Yu Yang gets, right? Because this is the same hull as Yu Yang, same guns as Yu Yang, essentially. You'd be better off with a radar. I mean, full stop. Like, this ship with Yu Yang's radar would be a way better boat. I know that the Hive Mind still doesn't think Yu Yang is a good ship, despite the fact Yu Yang is easily in the top 10 destroyers in the entire game, easily in the top like 3 or 4 tech tree DDs in the entire game. Specifically radar YY. It has like absurd game impact. Laffey with a radar would be fucking incredibly fun, and super interesting to play, because the smoke is almost pointless anyway. You have so little time. Like, it's a disengage tool for like 3 or 4 fights. In theory, you can disengage 7 times, but that's assuming that you never, ever, ever use the smoke to farm damage, right? You literally, like, shoot your guns, use a burst, and smoke for 10 seconds and shut it off insta, which is not realistic. You're not going to end up doing that. But I just feel like I'm being gaslit by everyone who's streaming games in this boat. Everyone who's... I mean, like, look at our damage, right? And then tell me how much of the damage did I deserve to get. How about Yugamo? He never should have hit that torp. So let's scratch 12k. Laffey, okay, sure, fair play. Des Moines, fair play, right? Not much damage. This is where all my damage came from. Los Andes, we hit 4 torpedoes on him. Republic, we hit 2 torpedoes on him and farmed a bit. This damage just straight up shouldn't occur, is kind of my point. And this is your average Laffey game. And this is why I feel like I'm being fucking gaslit. Because I'm so biased about this boat, right? I'm so biased. Like, I've hated it from day one. I've hated playing it from day one. And I'm like, okay, it's got to be me. People come into my YouTube comments on like the DD tier list. They come into my stream and they say like, "Oh no, you're just you're just a hater." People on Reddit talk about how good it is, right? And so I'm like, okay, I don't typically do this, but let me go look at the reviews on YouTube of other content creators who think the boat is good. And it's like, bro, I literally feel like I am watching different footage than they themselves have recorded. I'm watching people like sweat and claw tooth and nail for like 110,000 damage game, 1,400 base XP on a loss. They would have won the game in like literally any fucking gunboat in the video game with smoke and torps. Like Grozavoy wins them that game, Alvaro wins them that game, any of the Z's win them that, like they win that game in like any destroyer that has like effective DPM at range, decent torp. Like they win that game in a laundry list of gunboats. And they're like, yeah, Laffey's like really good ship, really fun. And I'm like, bro, you uploaded the video and I watched it and the boat sucked in your own fucking video. We're backing out to port, dude. I'm about to crash the fuck out. Anyway, we are in the port where Laffey belongs. Let's look at the equipment first. I don't really think there's anything you would even consider changing. I mean, you can barely even make use of your effective range. You don't want range. Concealment is impossible to play without. Obviously prop aiming. I mean, like, we're coping big time, brother. Yeah, I wouldn't even cope into that. Just run engine protection. As far as the captain goes, I feel like there's basically like this is the spec, and then throw this point on whatever the fuck you want. You can make, like with Alvaro de Bazan, you could make a case for Gunfeeder, because if you burst in Laffey and a situation starts to develop where like you're definitely on the wrong ammo, having Gunfeeder, that's kind of the only time though. So really you're taking Gunfeeder on Laffey solely under the theory that you've bursted with a certain ammo type. Now here's the thing, right? If you burst with AP, you're gonna immediately switch to HE and then reload the HE. So it's kind of like a weird skill. It's nowhere near as valid as Alvaro, right? Because Alvaro shoots like almost as much AP as HE depending on the targets, whereas Laffey is like still gonna be 90% HE. But you could cope into Gunfeeder, so like if you burst and then like a GNAN is pushing you at 2 kilometers, you could be like, oh, I can load AP mid reload on the burst, right? But there's really no value to this at all because of your smoke being dog shit, no speed boost. Now, I've seen people not take Superintendent. Like, I've literally seen people recommend to not take Superintendent, which is, what the fuck are you doing, frankly? Insane levels of trolling. Insane levels of trolling to not take the third heal. Because, like, you will, if you get in one real fight in Laffey, you're using 2 heals. Like, the boat eats so much damage in trading a DD. Like, if you are in a Laffey and you run into an Alvaro de Bazan, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but you are losing 20,000 damage minimum to that thing. So, like, your only actual asset, like, the boat has one asset, and that's the healing. Like, the guns are not great. They're not terrible, but they're not great. The torps are shit. The speed is shit. The concealment isn't even good. I mean, like, for God's sake, man. You get fucking outspotted by Vamp 2 by .2. Holy fuck, brother. I mean, God bless this boat. You have, like, effectively, you don't even outspot Alvaro de Bazan. I mean, bro, playing this thing into Alvaro, because I typically am on the other end. Playing Alvaro into Laffey is comedic hijinks. Because you get detected, you immediately spot the Laffey back, you immediately 15,000 damage burst the Laffey, because it has no ability to dodge, because it has no fucking speed boost, and then it does like 5-10k back to you, and you come back and kill it with the next burst, and it's dead. So, like, you have to take Superintendent on this boat, even though it's only for the heal. Honestly, this is a ship that probably just should have 3 heal space. I'll be honest, I typically am not a fan of the cockroach ship design, but, like, in Laffey's case, the boat unironically should probably have 3 heals base, and then you could, like, cope into some fire chance, right? Because like Gearing and Yu Yang, you have dog shit fire chance. It's like 5% base fire chance on the guns, but that does mean when you take Demo Expert and the 2 flags, you're only bumping the fire chance up by 2% overall, but that's a relative fire starting increase of 40%. So like if you didn't have to run Superintendent just for the heal, I think that'd be quite interesting, because then you could grab like Demo. That would free up like theoretically 4 points, right? You could maybe even go into like Dazzle, which might not be bad, radiolocation, but the problem is like you absolutely, absolutely, absolutely have to take Superintendent, because you're griefing the fuck out of yourself for not getting the third heal, because you'll always use it. Like if you're in a situation where anybody shoots back at you, you're taking 10 to 20k in return. So your first engagement in Laffey is going to effectively use 1.5 to 2 heals. And then like what, you're just sailing around in a 20,000 HP Yu Yang with no speed boost and basically no smoke. Like Jesus Christ, man. And Fearless Brawler, you could in theory drop Fearless Brawler, but the thing is, you have 80 seconds of smoke, dude. You have 80 seconds of total smoke time. So like you're gonna have to shoot the guns. You can't torp because it's a 2.5 fucking minute reload. So you're gonna have to shoot the guns if you want to get damage in this boat. And guess what? You're not gonna shoot the guns in smoke very much, because you don't have any fucking smoke time. So you might as well run Fearless Brawler, in my opinion. Superintendent is basically a must. So to me, this is the 20-point build, and then we're coping on Turret Traverse. Because really, just because there's not really anything else that does anything. I mean, like IFA, you don't dodge anyway, right? You could grab Liquidator, I guess, but the Torps have pretty good fall chance. You could just run the flag. Consumable Specialist does nothing. Gunfeeder is pure cope. That's probably maybe a slightly better pick, though, to be fair. You could probably run Gunfeeder. That might be the slightly better pick overall. Maybe if I was going to like truly recommend one, I might go with Gunfeeder. And then, at the end of the day, it's, armor-wise, it's a Yu Yang hull. Yu Yang hull has advantages and disadvantages over Gearing hull, for those that aren't aware. So, Laffey hull. LMM some nerd. Shut up, nerd. Gearing sits a bit higher out of the water, as you can see. It does sit a little bit higher in the water. But Gearing has a 21mm plate, and the 21mm plate on Gearing is fucking comedy. Because there is I don't know if you guys look at a lot of gun calibers in this game. There are a shit ton of guns that don't pen 21. Like, a surprisingly large amount of HE shells in this game don't pen 21. Like, all the British destroyers don't pen this. All the Swedish destroyers, I guess aside from Ragnar, don't pen this. So, like, Gearing is a funny hull because overall it's a downgrade. Like, against most ships, it doesn't matter because most DDs pen 21 to 23. But, like, if you run into Småland and Gearing, you actually have, like, a crazy advantage against Småland because, like, you effectively have an Elbing, a Schultz situation going on. So, like, you're a reasonably small destroyer, right? You're pretty small, and you're very maneuverable, like, as far as your rudder shift and turning, right? 623.1. So you're very, very maneuverable, but you don't have the speed. And the problem is, you've got this great rudder shift, this great turning circle, but when you lock in a turn with no speed boost up, what happens? Well, you go down to like 30 fucking knots, right? And you get absolutely fisted. If you try to speed juke, you might get away with one speed juke, but then the problem is, after you slammed on the brakes to speed juke, it's how do I accelerate to dodge the next salvo? And the answer is you just fucking do not do that in Laffey. You dodge maybe once, you hope it's a battleship. If it's a cruiser with a decent reload, if it's any destroyer and you speed juke once in this thing, then bam, you're done, right? You get absolutely fucking annihilated. And because of the horrific shell arcs, you can't open water farm any BB with aim, you can't open water farm them because you just get shit on. Like, you want to open water farm in Montana at 11 km in Laffey. If that guy can aim, he's going to 10k you on cooldown. And you're not going to have very good fire starting. You're not a torpedo threat unless he voluntarily pushes inside of 8 km to you. So you have no ability to deal with cruisers. You literally can't even damage Russian cruisers. Something like even a Des Moines is basically physically impossible to play against. 10 km radar is impossible to play against in Laffey. You cannot torp from outside it. You cannot farm from outside it effectively. Yeah, you could, like, if you've got a Moskva stuck in on a rock, you could farm him, like, from exactly 12.234 kilometers, and, like, maybe poke a few fires here and there, but, like, you're gonna have to run out of smoke or use an island, right? So, basically any cruiser with radar, like, hard counters is, radar cruisers counter all these. Not really, bro. I mean, go play Tromp or Ragnar or Elbing or Alvaro or Rigol. Like, go play a shit. There's a shit ton of DDs that don't give a fuck about radar cruisers, right? They just farm them. They just farm them down from 13 to 15 kilometers. Or they have like crazy pen, like in the case of Ragnar, Hull, Elbing. They can just literally farm them with pens. So Laffey does literally nothing against any radar cruiser in the game. It does literally nothing against any competent gunboat player. It does literally nothing against any non-retarded battleship player. It requires the enemy team to be bad. When the enemy team is bad, it's really fucking good. Like, yes, I get that you can say that about any ship, but bias aside, the Laffey is really good at countering bad players. Because if you're in a Laffey and you get pre-kited and a bad destroyer player pushes in to fight you, you can just heal his damage back, right? Like I said, a good player will like 3-1 outtrade you in damage, and your heal is just a cope. But against a bad player, they're probably going to like that Holland, right? He chips us for like 8k, we heal almost all of it back, right? Shit like that. And also, real quick, while we're on the topic of heal and superintendent, Laffey actually does have improved, because they just do this all the fucking time now. I think they can't help themselves. It gets improved efficiency. The heal actually recovers 60% of your HP loss. So, kind of the quick math, right? Another reason why like you're insane to not take the third heal with superintendent is you can see that we get about 8,000 HP back per heal, right? And we're running the flag, and we have 23,000 hit points. So now in a normal heal that heals 50%, we would have to take double the damage, right? We're talking pen damage only. Now, pen damage only is not ever a thing, right? You're going to take a lot of fire damage in destroyers, because a lot of the time you get in a destroyer fight, you get your engine knocked, you rep it, you get double fire while you run away. You're going to heal fire damage in Laffey, guaranteed. So it's a straw man argument, but we're going to go with it anyway. In a normal DD, you'd have to receive double the damage received in order to use the full efficiency of the heal, right? You would have to lose 16,000 HP with 50% efficiency to heal it back 8k. But Laffey has a 60% heal, right? So you only have to receive like 13,000, 14,000. It's noticeably less damage, right? So in Laffey, it's only like 13-ish thousand damage that you have to receive to use a full efficiency heal. So you start at 23,100. You're going to get smashed down to 10k and heal back up to 18. Then you can get smashed down to 5k and you can heal back up to 13. Like, you see where I'm going with this, right? You're always going to use 3 fucking heals. Even if it was a 50% efficiency heal, you probably should still run it, because like, what the fuck else would you even take? 4 points maximum. So do you put these 4 points on Dazzle or RPF, not range, obviously, or do you put these 3 points on, what, you're going to take 5% DPM and gimp your ship's only legitimate asset? Because the only thing good about this boat is the healing. The rest of it is shite. It's fucking trash. Oh my god. And we're going to nerf the one good thing about it. Okay. Yeah, anyway, that's the Laffey review, buddy. If you are a super passive player, let's say you are a super passive player. See, the thing is, I was going to say you love gearing your Yu-Yang, but if you love gearing your Yu-Yang, you'll extra hate this boat, because every time you're in this boat, you're like, why the fuck am I not in radar, Y-Way, or gearing right now? I could have basically the same guns on basically the same hull, but yeah, I mean, I could have radar utility, I could have gearing YY, 2 of the best torp suites in the game, right? Like, so it's hard to even, like, who do you recommend Laffey to? Yeah. I hate it. I think the boat, like, legitimately sucks, but it will perform if you're a passive cuck. That's all there is to it. If you're kind of a passive cuck, the boat can absolutely perform. Like, what you got to do in Laffey is you got to let the Reds be bad. You have to let the enemy team fuck up, and when they fuck up, you're pretty good at making sure, like, especially the destroyers pay for their fuck ups. But there's just boats that do. I mean, like, what destroyers in my port are better? Let's. You can end the. We're done with the review. Let's just do a thought exercise. Alvaro de Bazan's twice as good. Vamp 2 is twice as good. Barbiano's probably worse, but more fun. Yu Yang is twice as good. Hayate is better and more fun. Marceau is better and more fun. Burrows is subjectively not fun, but better. Rigolo is better and more fun. Uh, I hate Druid, but Druid might be a better destroyer. I hate Delny, but Delny might be legitimately more useful for your team. Tromp is way better. Maybe it's better than Kaba. Small way better. Shima better. Elbing better. Grosavoy better. Gearing better. Uh, Griefer boats, kind of a different category. Z52 might be slightly worse. Hoffman's better. Z42 is better. Daring is way better. I hate Cassard. Kleb is better. Lucian's better. If you're looking at a Dockyard Destroyer, guys, Lucian B is coming out. If you've made it this far into the video, Lucian B is going to be the next Dockyard boat. And Lucian is kind of like, if Laffey was good, we would just have Lucian. Like, no joke. I mean, if Laffey was good, it would just be Lucian. Honest to God. Lucian basically fixes every problem that Laffey has, and the only downgrade on Lucian is you lose the worst smoke in the game. Gdansk, way better. Ragnar's better. La Pampa. Ooh, boy. Put me in La Pampa, boys. I fucking said it. Put me in Holland. Did I sell Holland? I don't even see it in my port. I probably sold it. Put me in the Holland. My God, man. Get me out of this boat, please. Holy shit. It is nothing to no one. Like, when it's on the enemy team, legitimately speaking, when I know that this... And this is a sign to me of a ship that just probably sucks cock. If I can hold tab and just notice that a Laffey's on my flank, right? Like, oh, Kitakaze spotted west flank, must mean Laffey's east flank. You know what that means? That means I can just do whatever the fuck I want. If I'm in a cruiser, a destroyer, or a battleship, I can do whatever the fuck I want because there's no torpedo threat on my flank. There's no gunboat deterrence on my flank. If it smokes up, I can just run at it and grief it smoke. Like, it is literally nothing to nobody. It'll probably perform. You play it super squirrely, super passive, super cautious. Allow the enemy team to make mistakes, right? We always talk about with cruisers and battleships, permakite farm is unicum win rate guaranteed. And the same is true of destroyers. Perma-passive cuck gameplay in destroyers is unicum win rate. Like, you're going to perform in it if you're a decent player, right? It's not like a boat where, like, you're helpless. It's not, I mean, that's a harsh comparison. It's not as bad as La Pampa, right? La Pampa is a boat where, like, there just literally is nothing you can do in certain games. That's not really true of Laffey because even in a horrific game, right, where there's, like, radar cruisers and you're getting pushed, like, at least you can farm a bit of damage, heal up. You can get, like, you're never going to have, like, a 0 damage game in Laffey unless, like, you turbo suicide, right? So it's a pretty good, like, AFK griefer boat in that sense. Like, you can probably get, like, solid game impact. I mean, 90% of destroyer players suck cock and balls, so you can just position near a cap, let them overextend, kill them, heal. It can work. I just despise everything about it. I find playing it to be, like, wanting to pull my hair out, just, like, I'd always rather be in another boat. I mean, I just can't even think of a situation where I wouldn't rather be in, like, a Vamp 2 and Alvaro. One of these kind of boats, right? And, like, these aren't boats that are, I'm not even talking small right? We're being more reasonable and going with, like, just strong boats. I absolutely hate it. And like I said, I literally feel like I'm being gaslit by every person who makes content about this game. Like, if I watch one more video where a guy is dripping in sweat to claw out, like, a 2k base XP, 112,000 damage Laffey game, I'm going to fucking lose it, guys. I'm going to fucking lose it. Like, these games that I play weren't fun. And these are, like, better games than most of the fucking reviews of Laffey. Most of the reviews of Laffey I've seen, the people have been getting worse damage games than I have been getting. And they're, like, praising the boat. And I fucking had a terrible time in these two replays. And I cherry-picked these. I'm trying to counter my bias by showing you the 2 of the 5 games, right? Because I always like to do, like, same gaming session games. I don't want to do a replay from yesterday and a replay from today. Because if I wanted to cherry pick Laffey replays, I could show you, like, a 280k game and, like, a 250k game or something like that, where I got, like, 5 or 6 kills, right? Like, because I torped Proysons and GKs with Hydroactive, that kind of shit, right? And those are the kind of games in Laffey. Monster games in Laffey exclusively involve retards hitting your torps. And you have to be retarded to hit these torps. You, by definition, have to be a fucking clown to hit Laffey torps. Or you have to be voluntarily monkey pushing, right? And like, but I'm saying like getting dev struck by these torps, like no, that's not a fucking thing, dude. Hitting, oh my god. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is just like the dockyard syndrome where, like, cause you know on paper like 5,000 doubloons if you bought the starter packs is a really great price for a tier 10 premium. So on paper it's like yes, totally worth it. But on the other hand, like, are you gonna play it, right? Like, the answer for me is no. Like, if I want a decently concealed gunboat with floaty shells that's like a bad destroyer annihilation specialist, I mean, there's like 5 or 6 better gunboat, and that's the only thing it's good at. What I want to stress with Laffey is the only thing it's actually good at, like truly good at, is 1v1ing bad destroyers. But if you want a 1v1 bad destroyers, you can play a ton of other gunboats that are better. The one special thing Laffey does is done better by other boats, and they're better at other things. You want to shit on bad DD players, brother? It's called the Vampire motherfucking 2. You want to get 4 DD kills in one game? It's called the Vamp 2. It's called the Z42. Guess what else those boats do? Oh yeah, that's right. They're a better torpedo threat and a better farming threat. Yeah. So what the fuck are we doing in our Laffey? God bless this fucking... Oh, this boat, dude. This boat. It's a Laffey review. It sucks. I hate it. I have literally yet to see one person who likes this boat provide evidence that it's good. And I don't understand, like, is it a... You know, it's... I feel like it's a Hildebrand situation all over again. Not as bad as Hildebrand, but I feel like it's a similar situation where, like, everyone reviewing the ship says it's, like, really good. And it's like their own footage that they voluntarily uploaded, like the film, and they're picking replays to try to show that it's good. And I'm watching the replays going like, that's a 200k 3k base XP in Alvaro, in even Grozavoy, in Daring. Like those games you're uploading are like wins with crazy base and damage in a better boat. But we're using this video as an example that the boat is good. I just truly don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm losing my mind. I probably am. Let's be real. As always, thank you for watching. That's the end of the video, and we will see you in the next one.